Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Rebirth Mr. Freeze. And not only that, this is the Platinum Chase variant. This figure is repainted in the old Kenner Superpowers colors. It's an homage to that line. Now this guy was available at the McFarlane toy store. A lot of times they'll separate their Platinum Chase variants. It is not a McFarlane toy store exclusive. It should just be randomly packed in with Mr. Freeze figures. McFarlane put that on their website, and I had all kind of people texting me and messaging me. I was at work. By the time I looked at my phone, he was sold out. And frankly, I was pissed. I was bummed out. I thought maybe it's a one-and-done thing, super rare exclusive, sold out, never have a chance to get him. That does not appear to be the case. McFarlane actually put them up a second time, and once again, I was at work. Check my phone, all these people, go. Pulled the website, sold out. After the first time he sold out, I was chatting with some people on Instagram, asking who got it, who didn't. Huge shout out to my boy Maverick. I was talking to him, crying like a little bitch about how I didn't get it, and I was frustrated. And he said, well, I really just bought mine for trade purposes. You can have mine. Thank you so much, Maverick. He's helped me out with figures in the past, but nothing quite this rare. Really appreciate it. I love the toy community. People hooking each other up, helping each other out, tipping each other off. Fantastic stuff. Now, I had the old Superpowers Mr. Freeze as a kid. He had a couple action features. I think maybe even some color changing effects. Mine got pretty beat up over the years, and unfortunately, as an adult, I don't still have him. But I'm really happy to have this guy. Now, the McFarlane Toy Store did have a limit of one per person, so I still want to get a second one to keep unopened. But this bad boy here is definitely getting opened up. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, ages 12 plus, DC Multiverse, Mr. Freeze, McFarlane Platinum Edition. It's been a while since we've seen one of those. The last ones were Ghostmaker and Hush. Here he is in the package. We have a display stand, collector's card, and his freeze gun. Yes, he comes with a gun, and we'll talk about that more in the video. One side of the package, Mr. Freeze, Victor Freeze. Other side, Mr. Freeze. At the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode in case it helps anybody, but it's going to be the same barcode as the standard version of Freeze. And on the back side, here's a completely different version of Mr. Freeze. So no further ado, let's open him up. And here's the standard version of Mr. Freeze next to the Platinum Chase variant. Gonna have to get a second one for my unopened collection, but like I said, for now, I'm tearing this bad boy open. Now that I've got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He comes with a display stand, collector's card, and his freeze gun. But before we take a look at those, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Mr. Freeze, Batman Rogue, and he's in the old style Superpowers colors. I love it, but he's a modern take. His head is flesh colors, red goggles. The dome is removable, and that's a fantastic feature for this figure. Face looks good, emotionless, cold, stern. He's got tubes coming from his backpack, which has all kind of damage on it. I love the detailing. They're going to his suit, keeping him super cold. Going further down, he's got these shoulder pads, but they're soft. They totally move out of the way and don't mess up the articulation. Kind of bigger, bulky armored suit, but he has a ton of articulation. The suit looks good. You can see the different sort of parts, different texturing, all kind of detailing along the suit. He's got double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Now, something this figure has that almost no McFarlane figures have. He's got the elbow rotation and a bicep cut, and he also has a boot cut. So very nice. Huge improvements there. Belt, giant red button, purple gloves, big fat boots. Figure looks great. Very nice Platinum Chase figure, although this should be a little bit easier to get. And just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. That stern Mr. Freeze. Here's an image of the old Kenner Superpowers Mr. Freeze. Like I said, I had this toy as a kid for many years. This new McFarlane version definitely brings up a lot of nostalgia. Now let's take a look at his accessories, and let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. Typical McFarlane stand. Black circle. It says DC. It's got one peg for the pegals on his feet. Very thin. Very basic. Now let's check out his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Mr. Freeze, but it's a completely different version of Mr. Freeze than they released. And I don't just mean the Superpowers version. This is the new 52 Mr. Freeze. Looks really weird. Looks nothing like this Rebirth Mr. Freeze they released. Mr. Freeze. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Here's the Platinum Chase variants collector's card on the left, next to the original version's card on the right, and they're 100% identical, which I think really sucks. In the past, the Platinum figure would have like a silver border or something to differentiate them. I mean, these cards really don't mean much to me, but if they're going to include them, and they've been different in the past, why would they stop making them different? Not cool from a collector's point of view. Now for his dome. I love that it's removable. Clear plastic, sort of simulating a glass dome. You can see where it'll connect, a little notch in here. Here's a close-up look at Mr. Freeze's face, his head, without the dome on. And you know what? Since we're looking at the other one, here's a close-up look at the regular release of Mr. Freeze's face. And back to the Superpowers version. Here he is without the dome. Then, with the dome on. Now for his Freeze Ray, or Freeze Gun. Yes, I said it. It's a McFarlane DC Multiverse figure that comes with a gun. Warner Brothers has a no gun mandate. Any officially licensed DC figures cannot come with guns in any way, shape, or form. Even sci-fi type guns like this. There have even been Batman figures that couldn't come with a grapple launcher because of this. Maybe things are getting better. Maybe McFarlane got away with this because they have the projectile with just water or ice. I don't know, but I'm really happy Freeze has a signature weapon. It looks pretty good. The sculpt is good. It's all sort of a darker gray, a little bit of blue here. Then you got the tip of the gun, then you have this effect coming out. Mine's a little bit warped from the package, easy to fix. Now, I would prefer if this thing was pegged and could come in and out, but it's not. Now, I thought about removing it. On the other version, and even on this one, if you sort of just tug really hard, it'll break off here, but then the tip of the gun comes off. So I suggest heat this thing up and take a little knife and go right there, if that's what you want to do. Me, I just can't bring myself to do it, so I'm going to leave it as is. Here it is, next to the standard version of Freeze's Freeze Gun. Here's Mr. Freeze, holding his Freeze Ray. And I want to check out the two figures next to each other, this new Platinum Chase variant and the standard release, to see if there are any differences besides the obvious paint differences. And there are not. It's 100% the same figure. Look at the two heads here. They both look fantastic in completely different ways. The expression is great. Sculpt, paint job, totally different. Gotta say, I'm gonna have to give it to this one. Maybe because it's new and fresh. Maybe because I had the figure back in the day. But I think it just looks fantastic. You could do some nice swapping with the heads. Well, his neck is under there. But it could all be done. I did see somebody talking about doing possibly a torso swap to the other side to make it a little bit more accurate to the other figure. These guys are great. This is the kind of Batman villain I want to see. Not a torso of Scarecrow. Not a Bane that's all gray. Traditional looking Batman villains. Either one of these guys fits that bill. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 7.1 inches tall, which can translate to about 18 centimeters. Now for his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, you can rotate from side to side. You can look up about that far, down about that far, pretty nice. You can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint, shoulder pads completely move out of the way and do not obstruct anything. Goes up more than 90 degrees, up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area, increasing the range of motion and covering that large gap. Bicep cut below that. He's got an elbow cut, or elbow rotation inside of here. Double jointed elbows that go in that far. His wrist can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. Ball joint his torso, rotate around, forward and back. Another one his waist. Rotate around, forward and back, giving him Really good range of motion, especially considering he's a big, bulky armor character. Legs completely does the splits, not ball joints, McFarlane-style hips. Forward, about that much. Back, not at all. Rotation is pretty much non-existent. Double jointed knees. And then his ankles here, forward and back. Rotation, tilt, rock, and then toe articulation. Here's Mr. Freeze in the Arctic part of Gotham. He's outside of his base. He lives in solitude, only the polar bears around him. Meanwhile, in his base, he's thinking about his wife. While she's not gone, she's in this cryogenic stasis next to him, and he's in pain all the time. Of course, Mr. Freeze is always trying to cure his wife. He's holding the city for ransom. He needs a ton of money to fund his research. And of course, Batman was not going to let that happen. Batman is approaching Mr. Freeze's base, planning to take him down. As soon as Batman enters Mr. Freeze's base, he comes across a couple of Freeze thugs. He takes them out with a signature move, bashing their heads against each other. Batman pulls out his Batarang and is about to hit Freeze, but Freeze is too quick, pulls out his Freeze Ray, and freezes Batman. Mr. Freeze hits Batman with his Freeze Ray, and freezes him in a block of ice. Kind of reminds me of Han Solo trapped in carbonite. Freeze proudly displays both his wife and his new trophy Batman in the background. Of course, Batman is very resourceful. He knew he was fighting Mr. Freeze. He hid a very small laser in his glove. He's gonna escape. And since this is Freeze's video, I really don't want to show Batman take him down. So, to be continued until the next episode of D-Hunters Reviews. There will actually not be a conclusion, just so you know. Here's an image of both Mr. Freeze. They've got Batman frozen in the background, Nora between them. What's going to happen next? Now let's check them out. Next is some other action figures. Starting off with some other Mr. Freeze figures. Here he is, next to the standard version of Mr. Freeze. Now rumor has it, the 5th wave of Page Punchers is going to contain Batman, Robin, Batgirl, and another Mr. Freeze. I'm really curious if it's going to be a new figure or just another repaint of this one. Either way, I'm looking forward to it. Here he is, next to the DST, or Diamond Select Toys Gotham Mr. Freeze. And here are all of my DC Direct and DC Collectibles Mr. Freeze figures. This DC Direct Mr. Freeze here, this is the new 52 Mr. Freeze. It looks kind of weird. This is what the collector's card shows in the back of the package. Kind of an odd choice to include as your source material with a completely different looking figure. And here he is, next to all of my Mattel Mr. Freeze figures. This Mattel Mr. Freeze has been my favorite and default Mr. Freeze for a very long time. It's from the original Batman 6-inch comic line. He's just a regular Mr. Freeze, but this new McFarlane one has now taken its place. And Mattel actually made their own version of a Superpowers homage. This one here was part of the DC Universe Classics line. Here are both these figures next to each other. McFarlane's Superpowers Mr. Freeze and Mattel's Superpowers Mr. Freeze. These are both pretty nice and cool figures. Here are all of the Mr. Freeze figures that I have in my collection. I have most of them, but still a couple that elude me. Here he is, next is some older Kenner Batman and Robin Frostbite figures. Now these are grossly out of scale with this McFarlane Mr. Freeze, but back in the day, it was pretty cool to have some officially licensed Mr. Freeze henchmen. These are from the movie Batman and Robin. Now let's check him out, next to some other Cold-themed DC villains. Here he is, next to all my different Captain Cold figures. I probably have all of them. I got 2 of most of these Captain Cold figures to use as Mr. Freeze henchmen. Always had intents of repainting their outfits so they look less like Captain Cold, but never actually got around to it. And now, next to the Frost King, then here he is, next to a Mattel Young Justice Icicle. Now McFarlane better give us a killer Frost figure. I've been wanting one of her for a long time. Now let's check them out. Next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse Platinum Chase variant figures. Here are the first 2 they made. These were Platinum Chase variants, all bronze versions of the Arkham Asylum Batman and Joker, and the next Platinum Chase variants were all gold versions of the Arkham Knight Batman and the Arkham Origins Deathstroke. Then, they did something a little bit different with the Platinum Chase variant. They gave us Grizzly Grodd. This one has silver armor, kind of meets the pattern, bronze, gold, silver, but the whole figure's in silver, just as armor. So it made it an interesting and desirable variant. And then made a Platinum Chase variant of the Injustice Dr. Fate. It's the exact same figure, just in a lighter paint job, lighter blue. Maybe it's a little bit more comic accurate. Next, they released a Zack Snyder's Justice League Ben Affleck Batman. This one had the goggles up. It's a minute difference, but he was highly sought after. Took me a long time to get mine. And this is actually the only DC Platinum Chase variant that has any sculpting differences. Then, McFarlane decided to release these artist-proof, unpainted Platinum Chase figures. These guys are a lot less desirable. I get them all because I'm a completist, but I really have no joy in them. I don't use anything with them. I don't use them for anything. I don't take pictures, just to have a complete collection. And they were difficult to get. Some were expensive. Frankly, I found these extremely annoying, and I know a lot of people don't want them in any way, shape, or form. So when they'd order from Amazon or GameStop, and then randomly get a Platinum Chase figure, it would piss them off, because they want the real thing. And I get it. I don't know why McFarlane thought it was a better idea to have these unpainted figures versus at least a goggles up Batman or a different armor color, Gorilla Grodd. Those were kind of cool. They're going back to that with this Superpowers repainted Mr. Freeze. At least the Platinum Chase variant that's worth getting, at least for some people. But on the other hand, it's going to piss some people off that actually really want this version and they're going to have a hard time getting it. I saw an interview a while ago where McFarlane said they were going to be changing the way they do Platinum Chase figures, because I understand some people don't want them. It seemed like they took a break for quite a while. It's been at least 6 months since we've got one, and they're kind of changing it. Now they're more desirable, actual paint repaints, and they're making them available to McFarlane Toy Store, even if they're in smaller quantities, so I really do appreciate that. They're making them available at retail. Here are all of the McFarlane DC Multiverse Platinum Chase variants. I thought they were done making them, but it looks like they're not. At least they're giving people more and more chances to get them for different avenues. I look forward to seeing what's next. And being a Batman collector and completist is pretty important to me. Here are all of the McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman-related Platinum Chase variants still sealed in the original packaging. I really need to get another Mr. Freeze to complete this collection. Now let's check them out. Next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the rest of the standard Mr. Freeze's wave. Hush Batman, Rebirth Mr. Freeze, Infinite Frontier Joker, and the Nightfall Catwoman. Then, next to the Duke Thomas Signal, Jake Garrick Flash, and the Con-El Superboy. Here's Mr. Freeze, next to the Kingdom Come Armored Batman, and the Dark Knight's Metal Gladiator Batman. And here he is, next to a couple of recent Target exclusive Gold Label figures, Deadman, and the Flashpoint Aquaman. Then, next to some recent Walmart exclusive Gold Label figures, Vampire Batman and Eradicator. And now, next to the Amazon exclusive Tim Drake Robin, and the Shazam 2 movie Shazam. Here's Mr. Freeze, next to the Amazon exclusive Batman Family 5-pack. And here he is, next to the most recent McFarlane Mega figures, Mongol and Frankenstein. Then, next to the most recent McFarlane Gaming Wave, we have the Arkham City Sick Joker and the Arkham Knight Red Hood and Scarecrow. And now, next to McFarlane's Mortal Kombat 11 DC offerings, the Batman Who Laughs and both versions of Joker. Here's Mr. Freeze, next to the McFarlane Toy Store exclusive Hush Superman and Rebirth Kid Flash. Now let's check him out, next to most recent Build-A-Figure waves. Here he is, next to the Target exclusive Collect-A-Build Star of the Conqueror Crime Syndicate wave. And here he is, next to the Speed Metal wave, Collect-A-Build The Darkest Night. Then, next to the Batman Arkham City wave, Collect-A-Build an undersized Solomon Grundy. And here, with the Gold Label Walmart exclusive Black and Gray variants. Then, next to the third wave of Page Punchers, this is a Flash-themed wave. We've got Flash, the Atom, Heatwave, Gorilla Grodd, and both versions of Captain Cold. And now, with the second wave of Page Punchers, this is Injustice 2. Dr. Fate, Supergirl, Green Arrow, and Batman. Here's Mr. Freeze, next to the first wave of Page Punchers. This is a Black Adam-themed wave. Batman, Superman, Constantine, and Black Adam. And here he is, next to some more recent Target exclusive figures, Ocean Master, and the 30th anniversary of Batman from Batman the Animated Series. Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. Then, with some more Target exclusive figures, Kyle Rayner Green Lantern from Changing the Guard, Defiance Deathstroke, the Black Adam movie, Black Adam with Throne, and the Justice League Endless Winter Wonder Woman variant. And finally, next to some recent Walmart exclusive figures, Paradox Hal Jordan, Azrael Batman Armor, Rebirth Shazam, and Speed Metal Dark Flash. Now let's check him out. Next to some action figures from different various companies to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you don't know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all McFarlane toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, next to some more McFarlane toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, next to some Jack-specific wrestling figures. Then, next to some Batman Valentine's Day chocolates that my wife got me a couple days ago. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is, standing with some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is, next to some Mafex figures. Then, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, this is a very cool Mr. Freeze figure. It is an awesome variant that makes perfect sense. It's complete reuse of the sculpt, but it looks fantastic and it definitely gives me that superpowers vibe. It's about time they made a platinum figure that I actually care about. I also like the fact that they're making it available even though I missed out both times. His articulation is fantastic. It's actually better than your average McFarlane DC Multiverse figure. His accessories, the freeze ray, awesome. An action figure, a DC McFarlane figure that actually has a gun. This is unprecedented as of late. Sculpt and paint job, also excellent. If I were to rate this guy, I'm going to give him a solid 8 out of 10. That is the exact same rating I give the other guy. I like him about equally as much. And the other one is going to be by default Mr. Freeze, as he's in more sort of normal looking colors, a little more modern looking. My only complaint about this guy, he could be just a little bit taller, a little bit bigger. He's in an armored suit, so he should almost be towering next to Batman. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, head to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.